Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who bring you all of the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
Loudoun County landowners have a new tool to help keep valuable farmland in production. With the holidays upon us, Chef Tammy Brawley shares an entertainment favorite. And what are grain storage bins, and why are they so important to some Virginia farmers?
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from a grain farm in Westmoreland County with a brand new storage facility. And we're going to take a tour of that and learn why it's so important in just a few minutes. But first, preserving farmland in rapidly growing parts of the state has been a priority for farm leaders for decades. Burke Muller reports one Northern Virginia community recently took a valuable step towards saving some farms from development.
One of the top concerns for those in agriculture is the encroachment of residential development on farmland. It's an issue in every part of Virginia, but it's especially clear in Loudoun County, where farmers are working to hold on to their land that in some cases dates back to before the American Revolution. And they've been given a new tool to make that happen. The tool is a special type of property easement known as a Purchase Development Right, or PDR, and has been used in other localities around Virginia for years. The Loudoun County Board of Supervisors finally approved a PDR program in October 2020 to begin in 2022.
They've been advocating for it for many years, and it's great to see their perseverance pay off.
In order to take part in the program, a qualifying landowner keeps their land but sells the right to develop it. Then the PDR program allows local governments to use local and state funding to purchase those development rights and restrict how the property can be used in the future. This process allows landowners to be partially compensated for setting aside their property solely for agriculture or open space purposes. The Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Office of Farmland Preservation administers the Virginia Farmland Preservation Fund and allocates state matching funds to local PDR programs.
Since the program's inception in 2007, over 14,000 acres of farmland have been protected, and many of those acres are in the northern part of the state, which obviously has faced great developmental pressures over the past few years. So it's clear that the program is working as it was intended to. On average, for every $1 in taxes paid, a house requires $1.16 in local services, as compared to farms and forest land that require only 37 cents. So it really is a good deal.
There were a lot of groups out here that were really concerned about how rapidly we were losing our farmlands. Farm Bureau, of course, being one of them, but there's an entire really coalition of conservation organizations that have all been really advocating for this for a long time. And this is kind of the, a little victory for us, I think.
It may be a victory, but Walbridge and others who want to preserve rural Loudoun aren't taking a victory lap.
It is not something that gets preserved by accident. We need to be constantly putting in place the good policies and then making sure that we're following up.
The price of land in Loudoun County has gone up so much over the last 2 decades that it's become cost prohibitive for some who might consider farming there. The PDR program can help with that, according to longtime Loudoun farmer Sarah Brown.
There's an opportunity for people who want to own the land and not use it necessarily to do a low-cost lease to young farmers in the area who could never afford to buy that property themselves. As a member of this community, that's what I see as the value of the PDR program, is allowing more younger people to become involved at a lower cost to them, a lower upfront cost to them. But also to sustain our well-rounded community.
Brown says her property has been a working farm since the early 1700s. She knows change is inevitable, but agriculture can still be an important part of the county's character growing forward.
I think that we've seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of what agritourism and agriculture more traditionally is and can be in Loudoun County. It's going to be a modern twist on it. It's not going to be the same as it was 50 or 100 years ago. That's never going to happen. But what I'd like to see is more investment in those smaller, younger enterprises. And this is one of the ways that I think we're doing it.
With constant pressure from developers to sell farmland to the highest bidder, a PDR program should help slow growth in one of the fastest growing localities in the nation. The goal is to preserve a way of life as well as a sustainable food source for generations to come. In Loudoun County, Virginia, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
Efforts to preserve Virginia farmland date back to the 1980s in some parts of the Commonwealth. PDR programs are among the most popular tools to slow growth and are available in 22 Virginia localities. A similar program, Transfer of Development Rights, allows property owners to transfer the rights to an outside organization such as the Virginia Outdoors Foundation. Both tools compensate landowners for the loss of the ability to develop their land in exchange for setting it aside for open space and agriculture. The Office of Farmland Preservation, housed in the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, coordinates state PDR grants along with other efforts to keep farmland in production.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, we're going to talk about how to create a year-round bird habitat right in your own backyard. Stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Winter is the most important time to feed birds in your garden, but we can do so much more for our feathered friends than just throwing some seed out on the ground. Mark Viette shows us how in the garden.
This morning, our bird sanctuary was visited by a Cooper's hawk. And that hawk, normally during the fall or winter months, is known to feed on birds in our garden. I usually don't see it in the summer because there's plenty of food for all the hawks out during the summer months in the fields and around us. Last night, one of my barn cats was hiding under here in the garden. And what you want to make sure you try to do is right around your bird feeders. Now we have bird feeders everywhere in this garden. Is try to shear and clean up the area so no predators like cats can hide. At the same time, your birds can see if there's hawks or other dangers that might be relevant to them. What I had to do with the salvia here, salvia black and blue, the #1 best attracting salvia for hummingbirds, is I had to tie it up because this was sprawling all over the ground and the cats would hide underneath it. Same as the butterfly bush behind me. I had to tie it up. Now I'll probably come in here and do a little more pruning if I notice that this garden here is going to be a problem in hiding predators. Now, away from the bird feeders, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 feet, there's a wide variety of plants that you can incorporate in your garden to give them protection from the winter elements, but also provide them great nesting sites. Annabelle hydrangea can be pretty much grown by anybody. It's easy in the full sun, and I really like this plant because it provides protection for the birds during the winter months. I sheared this plant back to the ground in February or March, but throughout the entire winter, the birds have protection. Another great grass that you can grow is the miscanthus, and that's behind me. I don't really like the 10, 12 foot tall miscanthus grasses. I like the ones that are sort of anywhere from 3 to maybe 8 feet tall, and they get about 6 to 8 feet wide, and they really give the birds a lot of protection from the snow and the ice and the elements during the winter months. If you have a new garden or you don't have any evergreens, there's an easy way to fix that. You can just go out and take your trimmings from your gardens, your limbs, your stems, your branches, and make piles in the garden, probably about 2 or 3 feet high. That's a great place for birds to hide from predators. I really like hollies. Hollies grow in Virginia, like the American holly behind me. They provide year-round protection for birds. And the birds that nest in this range from blue jays, cardinals, mourning doves, robins. I'll come out and I'll see multiple nests sometimes in one tree. So don't forget to plant evergreens around your home and in your garden. I like to learn something new every day. One thing I learned this year, and I just noticed it just about a minute ago, is birds do feed on the seeds of some of your shrubs. So I'm not a firm believer of going out and whacking everything back and really cleaning up the garden in the fall. This is the blue mist shrub, and the goldfinches were just feeding on the seed. The other day I noticed goldfinches feeding on the beautiful butterfly bush seed pods. So I haven't pruned them as much this year. Remember, one important thing that birds need year-round is water. And right in front of me here, I have one of many bird baths filled with water around these bird feeders. And there were many times that all throughout the day, the robins were coming and taking baths in these bird baths. And sparrows were feeding on the water, same as cardinals. So make sure you have water for your birds. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Coming up on Heart of the Home, sweet potato biscuits with country ham. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Sweet potato biscuits sounds like great Southern comfort food to me. Chef Tammy Brawley shares her recipe for this delicious treat next at the Heart of the Home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen, and welcome to a special outdoor edition of Heart of the Home. We're at Old Tavern Farm in New Kent, and I want to show you how to make some delicious sweet potato biscuits. We're going to start with some mashed sweet potato. Now, the best way to do these, as far as I'm concerned, is to either bake them in the oven in a piece of aluminum foil like you would a normal baked potato, or even wrap them in plastic and put them in the microwave for a few moments. Take them out and peel them, and then you've got a nice mashed potato there, and you want to put them in a bowl with some butter. If your butter's soft enough, you should be able just to use a hand masher, but otherwise you might want to put it in your mixer. That's up to you. I find with the smaller amounts that it's better to do the hand mixing. You want to get that butter nice and combined with the sweet potato. And then you want to have waiting some flour, baking powder, a little sugar, and a little salt. Add that to your mixture. So now what we have is all-purpose flour, sugar, salt, a little bit of baking powder, and sweet potato and butter. I'm going to use just a knife here to get it started. Once it gets nice and combined as such, then you can get in there with your hand. We're going to get a little messy, but that's all right. This also gives you a chance to feel for moisture. This will tell you how much milk you want to add. You really don't want to add a lot of milk because you don't want it runny. You want a nice balance of milk to sweet potato to make sure that the biscuits hold together. This feels really good. I do have about 2 tablespoons of milk at the weight here. Add that in there. All right, now you can turn it out on a parchment paper or a board as such. Yes, you are playing with your food. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun. It's the best way to feel for a proper dough is to use your hands, bare hands. So we're going to push it out. And the thing about biscuits is that you really don't want to overwork the dough because they will be tough. So you really don't want to work this too terribly much. And depending on the cutter you want to use, you want to do it in a square or a round, that's up to you. You want to mash it out till it's about a ½ an inch or so thick. And you want to take a cutter. I remember my grandmother used to use a juice glass. But you take a cutter and make your circles. And you want to put them out on a pan, a baking sheet. I use parchment paper. You can certainly use a baking mat such as a sill pad if you'd like. One recipe makes about, I don't know, depends on the size you want to use, probably 8 to 10, maybe a dozen biscuits. Put them on the pan, and then you want to take melted butter, brush them over the top. So after you've brushed them with melted butter, you want to go into about a 400, 425 degree oven, depending on your oven, and you want to bake them for about 15 minutes until they come out to be a nice golden brown color. My culinary teacher used to say, bake them until they're GBD, golden brown and delicious. So when they pull them out, what I like to do is I like to create a little bit of a honey mustard. I'll take a Dijon mustard and a little bit of honey or agave, and I will spread them on the biscuits. And then, as you would say, the icing on the cake would be a little bit of country ham. Certainly that is something we have copious amounts of in Virginia. Put that on the biscuit, and there you have it, a sweet potato biscuit with honey mustard and country ham. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley with the Green Kitchen. See you next week on Virginia Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
There are 269 commercial sweet potato farms in the Old Dominion, raising their crops on 286 acres. Several of those producers raise the Hayman sweet potato on the Eastern Shore, locally known for its super sweetness. Sweet potatoes are harvested just before the first frost and can be made into pies and casseroles right away. But if you want truly sweet potatoes, the sugars need to cure. They should be stored in a sheltered, warm spot for at least 10 days. After that, they can be stored for several months in a cool, dry location. Avoid storing them in a refrigerator.
One of the best tools that a grain farmer can own doesn't plow or plant anything. Ricky Gibson reports that the humble grain storage bin has become a major profit center for many growers.
Sometimes there's just a couple of them. Sometimes there are 10 or more with lots of metal tubing between them. They're grain silos or storage bins, and you see them scattered across rural Virginia. Several stories tall and shining bright in the sun, grain storage bins are an important tool for modern farmers.
If you raise a lot of grain, you got to have somewhere to put it. If you don't have anywhere to put it, you're at the mercy of the grainerers to take it and at whatever price they pay you for it. And if you have a tank you can put it in, you can hold it and deliver it at a time when it's a better price.
They're able to have access to selling their production over an entire calendar year, over the entire marketing year as well. And they're doing that, they want to do that so they can take advantages of price upswings.
It's not uncommon for one grain storage bin to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Farmers are notoriously frugal, so why spend all that money? Robert Harper says they consider the bins to be an investment that will increase profits for decades to come.
The equipment they have is very sophisticated, and this would really fall into that category. It is a big investment. You know, we're talking a lot of excavating needs to be done. A lot of times different types of electricity, like a phase 3 electricity would need to be brought in. They're doing a lot of concrete work. It's a big deal.
Well, when I cut my barley was $2.60 through Purdue, and I've got my barley in the tank, and I think I can be able to get $4.55 for it. So that's a big difference. You know, if I can put it in the tank, keep it in good shape, and take it to feed mills when they want it, and I'll make that much of an increase in price.
There are even more benefits than being about to sell your barley, corn, soybeans, or wheat at the best price. Farmers with storage bins have more flexibility and can harvest their crops at the time that works best for them.
The process is we'll come in with the truck, and that's where we dump. And what it'll do, if it's dry, it'll go into the dry leg and go straight to the tank. But if the product's wet, if the grain's wet, it'll go through the first leg into the wet tank. And then from the wet tank, it'll go to the dryer, and then whatever bin you want to go to, 1, 2, or 3, or 4. And so that makes it real nice.
It allows them to go from the field to their home farm. The trucks turn around faster. They can control the hours when they dump. And it really just speeds up the harvest process. We know in agriculture, like most things, really everything in life, timeliness is so important. The faster they can get that crop out of the field, the more efficiently they can get it out of the field. It just sets the stage for them being more productive on the next crop that they're going to plant. So it's a great way to manage harvest.
Grain bins help growers remain profitable when price margins are tight and to be more efficient producers. Even though the cost of them is quite high, farmers consider them an investment in the future and often for their next generation.
The main thing I was doing was trying to build this to pass on to my boys and make it easier on them, because I tell you what, it was hard not having this facility.
Farmers love this stuff because they think 30 years out, and when they're thinking 30 years out, all of that is churning and working through their head going, wow, how are we going to do this? What's the end game? What's the long-term plan? We also see a lot of folks who have inherited a system from their father, and then they decide, as maybe they pick up another farm, they purchase another farm, they lease 2 more farms, their production grows.
You got to keep an eye on what you're doing. You got to watch your grain. You got to cut your blowers on and make sure your temperature's not too hot and it's keeping it good and all that. So you just can't put it in there, forget about it. You got to take care of it. But it pays you in the long run to do that. Just finish this tank. Well, it does.
In a way, grain storage bins are the ultimate low-tech solution for profitable farming in a high-tech era. These massive metal bins will last for decades, giving producers the flexibility they need for harvesting and marketing, and allowing their descendants to continue farming. Farmers who use them say they're worth every penny. In Westmoreland County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty that Virginia has to offer. From your kitchen to our lawn and garden to our wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. So from everyone at the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching and make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah?
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.